It's not a bad little outfit, that. Not a bad little outfit at all.
I love how
Check
you
that
didn't
out.
tell me what you wanted me to do apart from push a button, and then you come in like. There we go.
I'll tell you what.
Hello.
If MCU Spider-Man took that helmet off and your head was underneath, I think that the people of New York would not be happy about it.
Yeah, they wouldn't know it was Peter Parker.
No, they'd just be like, look at the state of him. Where's this homeless man?
Why is there a homeless man as Spider-Man? Hello! It is a Spider-Man themed SpoilerCast. As you can tell, Zoe has her Spider-Man hat on. I have my Spider-Man full suit on. Dan's here. And we're obviously talking about Spider-Man No Way Home, which we've all now seen. Obviously, I am Spider-Man, joined by Dan, a.k.a. Dr. Octopussy.
That's because I've got 3 vaginas. It's got nothing to do with Spider-Man whatsoever.
Are we doing Spider-Man? I didn't know that. And obviously Zoe has joined us because she's also watched the film. So, as always with SpoilerCast, without going into any spoilers, what did everybody think? Let's start with Dan.
I
Right, moving on to Zoe.
that's as much as I can put into words, I think. It's amazing and spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the various spider words that you could
Not
put
superior,
together.
though. Not superior Spider-Man.
No, I think Spider-Verse still has that top spot, but it's by the tiniest of fractions at this point.
Yeah.
But in terms of best live-action Spider whatever, I think it's the best version of all of them. It's amazing.
What do you think?
I loved it.
Yeah.
Every minute. Yep.
Every minute.
Every minute from even the crappy little.
Even the credits.
bits, which we didn't skip.
Love
for.
the
Post-credits.
Favourite credits.
It was awful. The second bloody
I mean, we'll get to that.
spoilers.
Because, again, you just...
Yeah, no, I did it myself. I'll bleep it out, it's fine. I did like it, and I think it probably is the best Tom Holland Spider-Man, probably the best live-action Spider-Man, but I did have some issues with it, which obviously I'll go into. Sorry, I didn't have any issues whatsoever.
Usually, I could say, okay, I know roughly I know roughly what you think is not great, or there'd be, if I've got an issue with something, we'd have similar, if not the same issues. I don't have any issues with it. I don't have any at all.
I'm not talking Venom 2 style issue, just like more...
Well, it's just a problem. That whole film is just an issue.
But there was a lot of... we'll just get straight into it. So I felt there was a lot of... It wasn't good plot. It wasn't good writing. It was convenience writing. And I know there's a lot to get in, and it's the fastest way of moving a story along without dwelling on too much stuff. But I don't like the fact that these, with the exception of probably Lizard, these A-list Spider-Man rogues can be cured. It's just it's just an on-off switch. And if this is the case, why didn't these Spider-Mans from their respective universes go, well, we just need to cure them?
Because that's the point, that they haven't tried to cure them, they just tried to beat them.
Yeah, and I know that's Tom Holland's whole
Spider-Man, thing. But you look at what he did with Vulture. It wasn't a case of just beating him. He tried to save him.
Yeah.
He tried to make sure that he was okay. He cared about his daughter.
Like I said, from a story,
that he was being the bigger Spider-Man by. It's not just a case of I'll kick the shit out of you and put you in prison. It's a case of stopping this from happening. And if it's a case of, because I think that even if you'd say, if you do a thing and you inject someone with a thing, or you do a tech thing, and then they're still psychologically broken, he's done as much as his genius will allow. Yeah. So he's taking them off the table as a threat. But it doesn't mean that they're magically going to be like, oh my god, I'm fixed. Thanks, I'm going to be a productive member of society, which does happen to a degree, yeah. But it's not because it's something that's I mean, spoilers obviously at this point now, but I think with Doc Ock, his was the one that made the most sense.
His was the only one that did, because that's effectively what happens in 2 anyway. They already explained that away in Spider-Man 2, that if it wasn't for the thing fusing to him,
he'd be just a normal dude. Yeah.
So that one gets a free pass, even though it was very instant and just like, oh, a weight has been lifted and stuff. But
well, kind of. If you've had like these like other voices, like splinters in your own brain, like I'm sure that schizophrenics, if everything else outside, like if you could just take away the schizophrenia side of things for them, I'm sure they'd be absolutely, I reckon it would be instant. They'd be like, everything just feels normal now, I can just crack on. I think it would be as quick as that.
Also, if they wasn't just left to their own devices while they got all this stuff together, so I don't understand, like, why wasn't they restrained or anything until after they'd finished the process? Because when they go to Happy's apartment, and you've got Doc Ock, Electro.
It was only Doc Ock that was strained, wasn't it, by his own arm?
Yeah, but that was only because he'd already done it with the with the tech suit. But everyone else was just left. Lizard was just left in a van, and he's just like, right, I'm just going to trust you that you're not going to double cross me and go on a rampage.
I think that was more just a case of probably quite expensive to CG a lizard man in here for no reason, just to be in here.
Everyone else, like Zoe said, the only one that was restrained was Doc Ock by his own arm, which was just what Peter had done when he'd taken over the technology with the Stark technology.
Yeah,
but
I think of all of them
left there.
Yeah, but he's the one that's just sort of like, he doesn't have an interesting alter character, like, you know, just what Kurt Connors. I don't care about him. You know, having Willem Dafoe as, you know, Norman Osborn, and you know, he's always on the. I mean, I can't believe they didn't put a pair of handcuffs or something on him.
That's what I mean. Like, just
in the restraint. Yeah.
Yeah, just in case, you know, Goblin just sort of switched back on in his brain and he sort of went a bit mental. But I love the fact that he just clocked onto it, like, because again, he's a kid in all of this.
Yeah.
And all of these bad guys, they're all going to go, okay, well, we'll just play house until presumably the opportunity comes up that we can get this guy and fuck him over.
That was always on the cards.
Yeah, I mean, like,
but
the minute he saw Jamie Foxx's eyes light up at that art reactor, it was like, nope, okay, put this away or put you away, and it's just like, oh, I trust you. Wander around.
Well, May's bloody, what was she doing? Like boiling bloody cloves, or she was doing some
for Doc's drink or something. Yeah,
just like typical art May.
Oblivious.
I mean, I did quite like, I don't know if you necessarily would have cottoned onto it, but the little flirty banter between May and Doc when she's on about salt water, fresh water, or
I didn't know if you were an octopus.
Yeah, the octopus thing.
Because they actually get married.
That's quite nice though, because it's just like, it's like, you know, I've seen enough sort of these bad guys, like, I just assume that you are a part of an octopus or something, rather than these like sun controlling arms or whatever. I'd go with that as well. If you call yourself Doc Ock, or if everyone else is starting to do so, I think you're probably an octopus bad guy as well.
She's probably one of the only Mays that just goes with it. She like supports him full-heartedly.
I mean, I think she's only the only one that knows as well, isn't she?
I don't know. I think the Raimi one,
she does. That knew he was Spider-Man. I mean,
no, but that's the thing, though. I think that, like, I think it's in Spider-Man 3 when she sort of gives him like a little bit of a pep talk in the garden about, oh, you know, Spider-Man's like, is this kid's hero and blah 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 blah. I think you could make a reasonable that she suspects maybe that he's. Yeah. Not that she actually knows, but there's only a few sort of bits that I'd be sort of willing to argue about. Like everything else, I'm just too blown away by it.
I loved it. It's another Infinity War / Endgame where you go, you know what, they pulled it off, which is a feat in itself. Like the fact Sony's got involvement in it is a warning sign for
it's minimal at
a
best.
lot of the time. There is there was an interview with Kevin Feige and oh my gosh, what's her name?
You said this the other day. Amy someone, wasn't it?
Amy Pascal, and it was the reporter says. The first comment is like, it's like watching every Kevin Feige interview with her is like watching a divorced couple just being there for the kids, and you can tell they don't like each other. And the interviewer says, "Are we finally going to get the line with great responsibility? With great power comes great responsibility." And Kevin Feige says, "Well, you just have to watch the film. You'll have to wait and see." And then she pipes up and goes, "But not too long." It's just like, well, that's obviously in the film then, isn't it?
Yeah, ruined it for everyone. Thanks again.
But I did like it's like kind of like a theme throughout all of the Spider-Man, where the second that line is uttered, whoever said it is dead. And you didn't get that feeling straight away. You thought, oh god, May's dead, and then she was okay, and you're like, oh fucking hell, thank god for that. And then she's dead, you're like, oh no.
I really liked the old double
death. Really
it was pretty. I mean, she cried.
I cried my eyes out.
She cried at most of the bits, to be honest.
There was quite a few bits that I did well up during. I know we're sort of just jumping around all over the place here, but it's just sort of what's coming into my brain. But when MJ falls off the scaffolding and Garfield goes after her and saves her, and then his face is like,
just like to point out, remember when we were talking about this and I said it would be Garfield?
Yeah, because I don't know if you've seen it, but there's an interview with Tom Holland. I always forget his name, the guy who plays Ned Jacob something, isn't it? And then Zendaya. They're all sat in a row and they're watching the trailer, and Tom almost says, "Oh, they've edited out Garfield."
Does he?
Because he almost says it. Almost says it. He's as close as they've and then he sits back because it's the scaffolding bit. When all three of them are going at once, but in the trailer it's just him.
Well, there was a when we talked about the trailer on the podcast. There's I don't know if you remember this conversation, but I'd already seen something online, and the scene in the trailer that we saw when they're all going together. In the
with the lizard getting tracked by an invisible force.
Yeah, I think it's in the Mexican trailer, and IGN posted the clip, and there's nothing there, and the lizard just goes. But obviously Tom Holland's Spider-Man's too high up.
Yeah. I can't believe that they just left in. They just went, well, edit one of the Spider-Men out. That's fine. But they'll still have the impact of it.
Yeah.
I just.
I don't know if
they've done it on purpose for like these people that go through these trailers with a fine tooth comb, and then for them to, raise the hype a bit more, or it was just a complete error and they didn't mean to do it.
I think leaning towards error, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd say so, because it was taken off like immediately. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure I did say it on the podcast, but we had the conversation about it where you see the hand. And my initial one was you don't see the glove, you just see the red. So it's just kind of like that as it comes down. I was like, that could be anyone's, but I bet because obviously Emma Stone died. Spoilers for Amazing Spider-Man 2. Obviously because of how Emma Stone died, it made sense for Garfield to be the one to save this universe's love interest. Although I didn't like, when they're on the roof and they're saying like, oh, we've all been there before. And he's like, I lost my Uncle Ben. Actually, he lost May Park, and he says, yeah, I lost Gwen Stacy. You also lost Uncle Ben. You lost too. Gwen Stacy wasn't the driving force, but what I think it was getting at was he was saying he found himself in a place like Garfield Spider-Man found himself in a place where he wasn't holding back his punches. So it was almost like he's probably gone about murdering a lot of Spider-Man villains in his universe. And I don't know, maybe he's had to pull himself out of a dark place. But what I really, really, really liked, and it's not that big of a thing, more so for your reaction, we sat there and when the portal opens up and they're like, Peter, and he turns around and it's obviously Spider-Man, but it's Garfield's Spider-Man. I fucking loved that, and that entrance was amazing. You knew exactly what it was. You could tell who it was from the eyes, but it was just so good. And no, because he obviously had the mask on, but the Amazing Spider-Man 2 eyes are a lot bigger than the other two.
No, sorry, I'm thinking of the Maguire one where he's on a roof or something like that, and he's just got that sort of like slick down hair.
Oh, that's what we were saying. Fucking just like someone's dad walks in, like, I've been looking.
I hated Maguire's entrance, but when they did that and they're shouting Peter and he turns around and he waves and he starts running out, she's there going I was like, it's massively obvious, but okay.
Yeah, it was,
we were more like
a
that
bit
when,
obvious,
when
but
Charlie came on the obviously Daredevil.
Oh yeah, Matt Murdock.
And like no one else reacted in the cinema, but me were like
it was just silence in there except for us two flapping. But
when that bit really, it was one of those things that it was always sort of like, oh, it's a bit of a rumor, it'd be a nice thing if it did, but it wouldn't be the end of the world if it didn't. But as soon as he was just sort of just talking, and then that handicap walking stick just sort of plopped down in front of the camera, and I was just like, I know what that is. And then the camera just turned, and then it's Charlie Cox sitting down. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
We had this talk on the last podcast where we were saying like there's a difference between something being spoiled and then like where, as we have a lot of these kind of conversations where we go, this would be cool if this happened, and then it actually happens and it's way cooler than you thought it was going to be because it's actually happened. It's not a rumor, it's not a hunch, it's nothing like that. It's physically there. Whereas if we'd have gone in and I already knew he was in it, I'd be so annoyed because that's such a big reveal.
Yeah, that would have been taken completely away from you because he doesn't. I mean, rightly so, I think at this point. But he doesn't do anything more than just be in that scene and just be legal counsel.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we get proof that yes, he's absolutely Daredevil because
I'm a good lawyer.
Yeah, but there was that sort of like if they hadn't have done that and he was just there, I reckon that would have been a whole conversation in itself.
Yeah,
because it'd be like, but is it the same Matt Murdock? Is it just a dude? Is it what?
Even if they'd have just like been like, we need to get you a lawyer, and then the phone rings, you're just like Matt Murdock. Even if it was just that would have been enough. But they went into the scene, just having him there was like
so good.
It was mind blowing. Although as cool as it was, that bit when he catches the brick, that was very out of the Netflix universe. Daredevil, he wouldn't have done. He would have let that hit him. Just because, how could you explain? You can't explain it. There's no way.
Just like thinks I'm in a room of people who know this sort of stuff. You can kind of be yourself.
I mean, he's supposed to be Spider-Man.
Also, but he knows he's Spider-Man.
That's what I mean. So I suppose worst case scenario, he goes, by the way, I'm a vigilante as well. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's great because obviously this confirms that what happened in the Netflix shows. Assuming that there's any. Yeah, because they could just say, we'll keep him as the same character, we'll keep the same actor, but anything to do with what happened in the Netflix shows, all of that doesn't count for anything. So potentially none of the Netflix stuff has actually happened to this particular Matt Murdock.
Yeah, it could just be a recast of the same person.
Exactly, it could just be it's the same character played by the same actor, but it's not. Like all the Netflix stuff didn't happen to him. He didn't meet Elektra and Punisher and whatever. And they don't necessarily have to exist because he does. But maybe this is the first step for some of the Netflix stuff to try and sort of gain its way back into the actual MCU, which would be the first time this has happened.
Have you noticed though that the on Netflix it's showing up like they're actually advertising Daredevil again?
I noticed it was like 3 or 4 trending.
It was number 1 yesterday. When it went on.
People like, who's this guy? And it's like, watch it.
Yeah, I mean that could be it. Like us three getting all excited because Matt Murdock's there, and then like all the people in the cinema just like,
why are people getting excited about this guy? Yeah.
Looks like a right nerd, and he's blind.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, would they have even clocked onto any of that?
2 seconds.
Do you think that'd also be another thing where?
Sorry, Zoe.
It's alright. Go on. Where we're here going like proper nerds and go, well, that wouldn't happen because of this, blah 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 blah, and then you got those people going, how the fuck did he catch a brick? He's blind. And
it was behind him. Doesn't make any sense.
Why wouldn't Spider-Man notice it? But again, that's a good point. Now, why didn't Spider-Man notice? Like, why didn't he sense it?
He did. His hand was up. He caught it before him.
Oh, did he? Oh, I just thought it was like there. I just thought he turned around.
His hand was there, ready to catch it, and Daredevil got it first.
Oh no, I'll take it back. I didn't clock that.
But that would be my only point. Like, firstly, it's a cool scene. Don't change it. It looks ace. But if he didn't want to give up the fact that he's Daredevil, if he's as incredible as he has been portrayed as in the Netflix show, he would already sense that Peter had already got his hand up ready to catch this thing as well. Yeah, why would you do that?
That's what I mean. He just gave the game away. And I know it's all for a fun scene. It doesn't necessarily mean anything. And
it's not like everyone in the room just sort of went, "How did you do that? Yeah. How did you do that? Full investigation. Hello, police."
It was just like a funny thing though. I'm a really good lawyer.
But it's for the people who do know who he is, and they have watched Netflix shows, and they just went, "Nice." What
would you say if this is all the Matt Murdock we get? That was it.
I'd be very disappointed because, like, firstly, that's a great introduction to him. But then secondly, it's one of those things of like, well, okay, well, if you've got Matt Murdock, and let's just say it is that Matt Murdock, and you've still got your same Luke Cage and Jess and Frank and everyone else sort of mooching about, so they all exist within this same New York.
Yeah.
Why haven't they been of any help to anyone in any of the other Avengers films? But one, you could explain that away. Just go, well, they're just people for the most part.
Yeah.
They're not going to go fight Thanos. They're not really going to do much. But two, like, we had the thing like in the first Avengers when, the Avengers were obviously all fighting the Chitauri soldiers or whatever. And then in Endgame, we saw that Tilda Swinton's Ancient One, she was as well. It's just that we were never shown it.
Yeah.
Oh, so you could just have them in an alleyway, battering some fucking...
They're doing more of the lower level stuff.
Yeah, all
As they are,
just keeping people
like
off the streets or whatever.
Heroes.
It would be easy enough to explain it away, I reckon. But it's baby steps, I reckon, for getting him in to do any like cool shit.
I was more surprised it was Matt Murdock and not She-Hulk, considering she's got her show starting.
Well, maybe this is the sort of to bring people back up to speed with him, because obviously we're getting Mark Ruffalo in the She-Hulk show. Presumably we'll get some other, kind of like MCU named, like, big names. So if Matt shows up anywhere in something that is now canonically within the MCU, people already have been very, very gently introduced as to who he is. So instead of him just being in Spider-Man as a lawyer, now he's in She-Hulk as a lawyer.
Yeah, it makes sense that he will pop up.
Yeah, but maybe this time, maybe he would go Daredevil, or they'd mention the word Daredevil or something like that, you know what I mean? Because then if they were to say like, oh, who's this? Oh, this is Matt Murdock, he's a lawyer. He worked on the Punisher trial.
Yeah.
Like, that was a big deal in New York, in the show. So maybe that, like, oh, okay, so then maybe some of the Netflix stuff, it canonically did happen. That'd be quite exciting.
You had the thin veil from, more specifically in Daredevil, where they mentioned the stuff that happened, like with the Chitauri and stuff like that, and they mentioned Thor, they mentioned Hulk, but it's kind of just the event in New York. They never specifically say the Avengers or anything like that, but it was kind of like the cheeky little tip. I think there's a newspaper article as well that has a picture of the Avengers, if I remember rightly. It's been a long time since I watched it.
I think it's just like there's a couple of there's like a few of the Hulk where it's from the Incredible Hulk,
but
where
it's the film one,
smashing up cars or something like that when he's in Brooklyn, I think, or wherever he was.
Which is still canon in the MCU.
It is, but that hasn't been a two-way street. So the stuff that's been shown in the Netflix show is coming from the films
the Incredible Hulk, I mean.
No, that very much is still the case, yeah. But it would be... I think it would be fun to get like Tim Roth and Ed Norton back in there in some way. Because I don't know if in Shang-Chi, the abomination that we had in Shang-Chi, was that... yeah, I mean, no, obviously
I don't know if
it's
the same version of Abomination, but
it wasn't. He looked different, but I would assume it's the same Abomination that the Hulk fought, and they just redesigned him a little bit. Yeah. But like, did Tim Roth voice that?
I'm pretty sure,
or was that just?
Because I'm sure it's set. I'm sure it's set. He's back.
That's cool.
Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was. I could be mistaken. And Zoe doesn't know who the hell we're talking about.
Sorry.
I did find interesting that one of the things Norman goes on about when he's there is there's no Oscorp and there's no Norman Osborn in this universe. Whereas nobody else, like, there clearly wasn't another Doc Ock, there wasn't another Electro. These people only existed within their respected universes. But does that, obviously that's not fully across the board because you've got a Norman Osborn in Maguire's and in Garfield's, but there's nothing like that in Tom Holland's universe.
There wasn't any Doc Ock or anything like that either.
That's what I mean, but it was specifically mentioned that there isn't an Osborn. And one of the things...
maybe instead of an Oscorp, there's a Stark Industries instead.
Yeah, because there isn't those equivalents in the other ones. So maybe instead of Osborn,
so
it's
if
Stark.
There's genius scientist, you know...
billionaire philanthropist.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't exactly call Norman Osborn a philanthropist, but...
I don't know what he does with his secret serum.
But, you know, instead of weapons development in, like, chemical stuff, which is what he's done, Tony Stark and Howard Stark were doing, you know, ballistic weapons, like in the traditional sense. So maybe there wasn't...
a shame, though.
But then if you go, oh, well, you know, you know, now there's a new Norman Osborn and there's a new Oscorp and then there's a new Harry Osborn. And it's just like, okay, well then how does that relationship then develop when he's already got like this sort of core friend group?
Well, what if they just like kind of like cut out the middleman and they just make Ned Hobgoblin?
That would be cool if they made him a bad guy.
Well, Ned, in the comics, Ned does become Hobgoblin, doesn't he? But in this, they specifically mention, he says he's like, don't worry, I won't turn into a villain. And
I love that.
Fight you. And I didn't notice it, but I did see it pointed out. The sewing machine at Ned's apartment is the same colours as Hobgoblin's outfit. The fabrics that are on the sewing machine.
No, I didn't notice that.
I didn't like cutting it at all, but I think that would be a good way of, if we haven't got a Norman Osborn, so we can't have a Green Goblin, just fuck all that off and let's just have Hobgoblin.
Well, if he's been inspired now, then he's seen Norman Osborn, Green Goblin. I love the fact that they smashed that helmet as soon as they got the chance to. Yeah. They were just like, let's get rid of that piece of shit.
I really like the. I would have liked the helmet more if you had it on with the hood. So obviously he had that purple hood on.
I don't think you could get a hood over that gigantic pointy back of the head.
No, but
you'd never get it on.
I mean, to be fair, like, no offense to Defoe, but he's quite Goblin-esque anyway.
Well, that was the point, though.
Yeah,
he
looks
just put a helmet on him. Yeah.
Look like a Power Ranger villain. But not a good one.
I think the fight between like him and Holland,
so good.
when they just fully going after each other.
I don't know why didn't Norman Osborn enter the wrestling tournament to win all that money?
He would have rinsed people out if that was the case. Yeah, he could have battered everybody.
I can't remember him being that strong in the movie. In the
I don't think they would have had. Yeah, I don't think they could have. But like that was 20 years ago. So if you think like the stunt work and the wire work that would be needed to like flip people around and smash them through walls and stuff, it just would have been too expensive, I reckon. So it's just yeah, like they proper battered each other. And it looked really good. But I think in terms of the choice of bad guys, so here's a question for you then.
Yeah, obviously, where was Tropher Grace?
Well, this is what I was going to ask. Like, we got some of the main players, but we didn't get all of them. So, of the missing characters, missing villains that we've had in the Raimi and Garfields, I don't know why I'm saying the director and the actor's name for the others, but are there any of the ones that didn't turn up that you would have actually liked to have shown?
Not really. You're only really missing, I suppose Rhino was a big one, even though it wasn't in it for very long, but he's a big player. But I like the fact that they used it as a joke, considering it's probably one of the weaker parts of the movie, and it's fucking awful. But who else are we missing though? Like Tropher Grace, New Goblin, both times.
Yeah, so both New Goblins.
That's it, really.
We got Sandman, Vulture. I guess we didn't get.
No, but we've already had him.
No, but he hasn't. He hasn't made. So of all of Holland's villains, none of them showed up.
Nah, but I think that would have been a lot to try and to get. I mean, Mysterio's dead, supposedly, but Mysterio's dead. Can't get him back. Vulture's in prison. Vulture's in Mobius.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there's like they didn't really seem to do much with Sandman, and they didn't really do much with Lizard. Now I don't know if that's because it's just CG on both of them, and it's just sort of like let's just keep them out of the way because
no offense to either character and or actor, but they are arguably the least interesting villains that you've got in your hand. And obviously Doc Ock became good, so there wasn't much use for him afterwards other than the really cool. I really liked when he gets the two Spider-Men, and then he gets Electro, and you think that he's a bad guy, but he's really a good guy.
Yeah, he does the old, oh, actually, I'm just going to be a bad guy now, fuck it. And then he just plays up to it, and he's just like, actually, there's your power gone, zap.
It's very good. I really like that bit. But really, all you want to see is Goblin, because he killed May. And he kind of does a lot and then does nothing for a long time, and then obviously reappears again. And I think they did a good job with what they had, and I think it was well spaced out in terms of we've got these villains. There's three of us. You don't want to put too much together all in one go, and that was obviously a big thing that they had with Spider-Man 3. And then here's fucking Snowboard Goblin showing up, and it just wasn't very well put together. And I did like some of the in jokes for like when they're not so much mocking him, but when they're questioning him about the organic web fluids and this, that, and the other. And the Garfield refers to himself as Spider-Man 3. It's the third Spider-Man, almost as if he's the least favourite of the ones.
But he loves just the other Spider-Men. He just nerds out about it the most.
The only thing I didn't like, and we talked about this, they made Garfield like the geeky one and Maguire the cool one. And I know he was playing a bit more of an older Parker, but Garfield's Spider-Man's a shit ton cooler than Tobey Maguire ever will be, ever. And I didn't like that as much, and I would have preferred Maguire to have been the gruff, oh, I'm too old for this shit, kind of like a Peter B. Parker from Spider-Verse, where it takes up until the last of it before he's like, no, I've still got some fight in me, and I've got to help this kid out and put him on the right path, and this, that, and the other. But I don't know if that's just me. I think this was my favourite Maguire Spider-Man.
Yeah, considering he did 3 films on his own.
Yeah, and I didn't like him.
He's had a bit part in this one. This is probably his best performance.
Yeah, by far. He was good, and at the time he was good in those except for 3, but he was good in those Spider-Man films. But like we've talked about it before. Spider-Man 2 is kind of like put on a pedestal as the best Spider-Man movie, but it's not the best Spider-Man movie. It's the best Dr. Ock. It's the best Doc Ock movie. If you take Doc Ock out of the film, it's awful.
Well, he's the only one in it. It's the only time he's popped up in it, apart from this one.
No, but what I mean, he makes that film good.
Yeah,
it's a good villain movie.
Yeah, but you need that to round out. You can't just have the hero be as compelling as ever.
No.
Without having a good bad guy to fight.
But if you swapped it's Maguire and put Garfield in that movie would still be as good as it was, if not better. It's just the fact that Garfield had 2 awful movies.
Yeah, it's not his fault though.
No, I think Garfield's a really good Spider-Man, and his Peter Parker's a bit too cool for my liking, but his Spider-Man is so much better.
I think they fixed like Jamie Foxx, like his just sort of like the blue glow shit. Like, I like the fact they just went, it's a different universe, different colours, and sure, I'll do. Yeah, it's just he's not blue anymore, whatever. But they actually made him they made him a cool villain.
Actually,
he was just sort of like, I wish that was the Electro that we got in the Amazing Spider-Man 2. It wouldn't have saved the movie, but it would have been
I
more interesting.
I think it definitely would have helped. And if you just took out Rhino and you took out Goblin and the rest of the stuff they had, and they focused on this Jamie Foxx's Electro as opposed to the one that we actually got, I think the film would have been really good. And even this film, if he was the only one that came through and Holland had to fight this Electro, I think that would have been a good film. Just, I don't know.
No. Yeah, it was. So we were saying there, weren't we? Like, obviously they've done interviews about this Spider-Man and stuff. They've got to relive it, and I just felt sorry for Maguire and Garfield, that they haven't done anything because it's a big secret. They haven't got to do the red carpet. They haven't got to do interviews. They've like missed that big part of being back in the Spider-Man world, and I did feel a bit sorry from in that respect.
I can't imagine they'll ever play the part again.
No, so I mean they've missed out on that big, like, it's been however many years, and obviously they've wanted them back in for this. Since Tom Holland had become Spider-Man, everyone was saying like he's the better Spider-Man, but for this they were like, oh, we really want all three of them together, and they've kind of missed out on that excitement. It's supposed to be the build up.
I suppose they'll be doing interviews and stuff now the movie's out.
Well, I don't know, because I mean, I suppose it depends how long they consider the grace period of spoilers.
An hour after the movie's out.
Yeah.
If that.
Apparently, according to the internet, that's as long as people should be willing to wait. Yeah. Like, there have been spoilers and shit posted everywhere I've seen.
I've been very lucky. I had 2 things spoiled. One of them being Garfield and Maguire. I already had that spoiled for me. It was kind of already a given that everyone kind of knew they were going to be in it. What I did find really funny for the... did anybody see the leaked footage of Garfield at the scaffolding with the blue screen? And it's just kind of... It's the bit when they're on the Statue of Liberty and he's like kind of holding and they're just chatting. It's that bit. And it was basically just it was a video, but it was effectively just a GIF. You couldn't hear what he was saying. And somebody who did like sign language, lip reading and stuff had put, he says Maguire's name, and then he gets asked it in an interview, and he's like, no, it's clearly photoshopped. It's not real. I'd like it to be, but it's not. Blah blah. And then Corridor Crew did a whole thing where they proved that it was real and what it would look like if you did do it all digitally. And they're like, obviously we don't know, but this is what we could do given the resource and deep fake technology and this, that and the other. And they're like, but that footage is 100% real, and that scene is in the movie. And it's like exactly the same scene. So he's just a good liar.
Yeah, well, you can't expect him to go, oh yeah, you got us.
No. But it was just the fact that it was such a shoddily released thing that I looked at it, and when he goes it's fake, I go, I mean, it does look a little bit fake, to be honest, but it could have just been the quality of the upload and stuff like that. But it was I think the only one who didn't get asked anything was Maguire, because I don't think he's been on anything to be asked.
He stays away from everything though, doesn't he, really?
Yeah.
Would have been cool if we'd have seen some of the other people as well.
I didn't have any, like, I went into this, I saw the first trailer, which gave nothing away. We talked about it when that had come out however many months ago, but I haven't seen a single thing purposefully. But I've also not had any spoil for me. I had no idea what was going to happen in this. Like, you see sort of like, you know, if you're looking through like Instagram or whatever, there'll be like a still of a thing and then there's like a red circle, and it's just sort of like, oh well, yeah, but it's just, at this point it's still just speculation anyway. So I mean, I don't look at it anyway, and I just sort of move past it. But it means that there'd be little things in the back of my mind about like Electro and Sandman and that sort of stuff. But as far as I was concerned, I didn't know any of that was going to happen. So every time it's something did, I was just like, brilliant.
It does help.
Charlie Cox, brilliant.
Not being ruined. That on its own, I was really happy that wasn't spoiled. And obviously there was, we had speculation ourselves about it, but we didn't know for definite. And going into it and it happening was I think that was probably one of my favourite parts of the film. But random question: do you think Maguire recognised J. Jonah Jameson? Everything else in the universe is different.
Did they ever meet each other?
No, but he was all over the news and on the billboards and stuff, wasn't he? And Maguire's Spider-Man had been there a bit because he was trying to find him. And he was like, "Oh,
that's true. They both got sort of pulled through in one big go, and then they've just sort of Spider-Man'd about for a bit." I think they potentially could have done a thing where, obviously, JJ didn't know about, whatever the hell else was going on. I reckon he could have done one Spider-Man and Peter Parker in the same room together, and he's just like, I don't understand, how,
why was that never a thing?
how I thought you were you. Oh, okay, but how are you just not a guy in a costume? And he does the same thing. Where he's like, okay, well, I'll just crawl on the roof for a bit. He's like, okay, well, you're definitely
so
good. Yeah.
That was great. Garfield was great in this. He was really, really good.
I think for the both of them, this felt like a redemption. They get to sort of just joke about a bit, and they get to sort of just be nerdy boys about spider stuff, because none of them have had the chance to do that with anyone else. They've always been pretty much on their own, apart from Tom Holland, I guess.
So that's why I felt sorry for them a little bit. They've not had to revel in it. They had none of it. Whereas Tom Holland's obviously getting all of it now. Like, it's an amazing Spider-Man film. Blah, blah,
Well,
blah,
I mean, if we're going with the whole, no one is ever going to remember what happens. But Tom Holland does, and if he gets back with Doctor Strange, and then he does a whole, there are other Spider-Men in other universes. Why don't we pull them over for a bit of spider backup? You could get them. I reckon you could get them back in without any issue. You could get a billion spider people in with the right thing. I really liked the where Garfield had Electro sort of on the catwalk, and he's just sort of beaten, and that thing was zapping his power, and he's just like, I was just hoping. I was hoping you were black.
Yeah.
And it was just sort of like, oh God, imagine if we had.
There's got to be a black Spider-Man out there somewhere.
Yeah, but that's the thing. What if they'd have gone? Oh, we need, there's all these portal things opening up, and there's just there's a whole bunch of different variants of, 400 Doc Ocks come through, and you go, well, let's get 400 Spider people through then. Yeah. You just get all of them in, and then you could get the animated Miles Morales. As an animated character. That would have just been mental. Yeah. If they just went, oh, here's just an animated character in this real live action
The annoying thing
world.
Is they've got to do it. If they are ever going to do anything like that, they're going to have to do it soon. Because obviously Tom Holland's growing up. Garfield's not he's like my age, isn't he? But what's Maguire now? He's got to be in his late 40s, hasn't he?
Yeah, I reckon so, yeah.
So they're going to have to do it reasonably within a decent time frame in order to get them. I mean, potentially. I mean, it's all there, and I can't imagine Sony sat there going, "Well, that's us done with Spider-Man now." I'm very happy Venom didn't make an appearance till the end, and potentially because of how the credits was, it's not going to be Tom Hardy's Venom.
I think they've left that open-ended on purpose. They've just gone, here's just a blob of venom goo, so now we don't have to explain anything to do with how the symbiote ends up in this universe. There's your intro to it, and now we can do whatever we want with it.
Now we can do a proper Venom, and it goes to Peter Parker first.
Well, that's the thing, because if they say, Sony can still make their own Venom stuff in their own universes. But what they've done is that they've given us the ability to use Venom in our own films now, because now he exists in the MCU. So, do we redo it?
I think it's going that way. I think it's going to be he's living out. He's got a proper classic costume now. No Stark technology. Is he going to get a job at the Bugle? Are we going to have a film where it's a bit more traditional Spider-Man, and then maybe the next one introduce maybe Eddie Brock already works at the Bugle. I'm not sure.
Tell you what, I'm not happy about though. Aunt May's foresight. She knew that Peter Parker was Spider-Man. She knew that, and she didn't get any life insurance for herself. Like, he has to live in a piece of shit apartment now.
Yeah.
Tony Stark's out of the picture. I mean, I would have thought Pepper would have stepped in and just be like, here's $1 million.
Let's make this all go away.
Don't worry about it. Oh, no, but no one knows who he is now.
No, now, yeah, but I mean, at the time, like, this is all going on. Oh, Peter Parker's Spider-Man. And Papa Potts is like, just sends a load of money to Jonah saying, here's $40 million. Say that
no, he's not.
Made a mistake. He goes, look, this just in. He's not Spider-Man. Like, but at no point, I know he didn't get a lot of time, but at no point did Spider-Man go, no, I'm not. Like, he's just like,
yeah,
oh, no.
It's easier to, it's easier to just go, that sounds like a good start to a story.
What I would have done.
He doesn't, but again, he's still supposed to be like 17.
Yeah, I mean, it's just reaction based, isn't it? And
yeah, of course. Like,
Daredevil,
I mean, I reckon it would have been easier
around.
if a few of the Avengers had stepped in at the Statue of Liberty when they were like, because you're telling me that no one clocked on. They were like, news just in: 3 Spider-Men fighting a multitude of baddies on the Statue of Liberty. You're telling me that no Avengers wouldn't have jumped on a plane and come over and helped him?
I'm more concerned why none of the Avengers went, oh, well, fucking hell. Everybody knows that kid's been outed. You know, that guy who helped us save the world. Whew, right, what else is on?
They don't care.
But they
Everyone
should.
knows who they are anyway.
Yeah, but they're not being tried for murder.
They should be.
I mean, yeah,
a lot of them have killed.
People.
They've killed infinitely more people, and he hasn't killed one. You'd think that they'd just be like, no, if you're going to put anyone over the coals for, like, you know, how about Tony Stark for a start?
Who was an arms dealer for a good portion of
he
his
was
life.
indirectly responsible for God knows how many deaths, but then as soon as he gets his Iron Man suit, he was killing like a motherfucker.
I think Hawkeye was there. He was like, I can't believe that kid's a murderer.
How many people have you shot, Hawkeye? How many of your own S.H.I.E.L.D. agents did you kill, Hawkeye?
Well, he was an assassin for hire. What if before he was the Avengers? He still did
exactly, yeah. So I'd say, if like he killed like a bunch of like alien dog things in Endgame, but that's fine. Like, you know, if you're in the middle of a battlefield and then you've got to get out of jail free, let's just kill everything in sight mode. I'd say switch that on. No one's looking.
I'd do it.
Yeah, for sure.
He could have turned this back round on Tony anyway. And when he's like, be tried for murder, go, yeah, because this suit's got instant kill mode. I can't control it. Like, I didn't even know it was in there. Look at the other 2 films. But
also, he still had, is it Edith, the glasses?
No, we think he had Edith, didn't he? Mysterio. That's how we did it all.
No, because Peter got them back, because when they're doing photography of his, like, they're in the case, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, assuming that they haven't been deactivated and like taken off the system,
I imagine Mysterio
he
did
could have just
something.
popped those on and be like, "Yo, how about a whole bunch of like Iron Legion robots to go and help me fight these fucking bad guys?"
Potentially. We'll never know, though, will we? We'll never know.
Until the next one.
We're going to wrap it up because it's been nearly an hour, Daniel. And we didn't even get
we've barely
we've barely touched on it, so this will probably spill out into a podcast and stuff or something. But what I do want to leave it on is, where do you rank this in the entire MCU?
Lonzo.
All of them. That's Infinity War, Winter Soldier,
Top 5.
Iron Man 3, everything.
Top 5 at least.
Top 5? That's very respectable.
I'd easily agree.
Very respectable.
Easily agree.
I think
Endgame still and Infinity War still rank that much higher because there's so much more going on, I think. But
yeah.
I think it depends if you break
they
it down.
earned that a lot more.
Yeah, definitely.
But technically, you know, it's taken 20 years to get to the point where this film could have been made.
I'll be honest, it took all of those films to get to Infinity War and Endgame, and it took 3 films to get to this.
Well, no, because then you've got all of the 3 Spider-Man, like the Raimi films, then you got the 2 Garfield films. So those 5 films had to have happened, and then the 3 Holland films in order for this to happen.
get to this.
and it was worth it.
Oh yeah,
Like,
100%.
I don't mind that Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man 2 was bullshit because we got this at the end of it. I don't mind. That makes all of it worth it.
Do you think this film depowered Doctor Strange? Do you think Doctor Strange previously wouldn't have fucked the spell up? I know they did it because he was just like giving all, changing all the stuff, and he just goes, "Shut up! you can. What do you want? I want this. Okay, now let's do it."
You got to think like he's always.
I know that ruins the film.
Like by himself.
Stick closer, Zoe.
Sorry. So do you know he's always done his spells by himself, hasn't he? Or like that sort of thing.
True.
Instead of get a kid nagging in your ear, because you know what it's like.
He
We have a
managed to
child
do it with Thanos.
nagging in your ear.
Fighting Thanos.
It was fighting. That's not having someone nagging in your ear. Oh, put this in it. Put this in it. Put this in it. What are you doing?
Yeah, that's not a very delicate thing,
No,
is it? To like zap a dude or put them through a portal.
It's definitely just picking at stuff, but it's one of those where you're going, right, just stop the spell. So everyone's going to forget Peter Parker Spider-Man except for May, MJ, Ned, me, and the rest of the Avengers. Okay. And then do the spell then, rather than just trying to change it here, there, and everywhere. And I know that the rest of the film wouldn't have happened, and this was the point of the film. It was just one of that's what I mean. Like the issues have got really, really minor things that aren't really issues. It's just me being me.
I suppose you got to think though, if he was really being that over the thing, he just wouldn't have done it at all. They're like, I'm not messing with time again.
Yeah.
Got nothing. No, not a chance. Not messing with it.
But I suppose but they do build it off as not that big of a thing. It's not that big of a deal though, is it? Because like even Wong, like in the trailer, it's like Wong's like, "Don't you dare cast this spell," but he doesn't. He's just like, "No, I know, because we do it all the time." And he's like, "Fine, just leave me out of it," and then goes. Yeah. So it gives the impression it's not that big of a.
Well, I suppose it's not if it's done right.
But obviously they fucked it.
Well, that's another thing actually. Wong is the Sorcerer Supreme. Not Strange, which is interesting. And two, Ned has got magic powers now.
Yeah, he's got the ring.
Because he's got the.
But that doesn't mean that any old idiot could just pop it on and open up a portal.
No, they mention it briefly. They don't know where Ned says like magic runs through my family. So I assume that it's just pulling a rabbit out of a hat or like something like that.
Yeah. I'd say get him in the multiverse of madness.
He might be.
I'd say Wong rolls him in as like, I've got a potential recruit here. I saw him open up a portal and like bring people through. So also I reckon that it's Strange is like the Vision in Civil War. You've got to take him out of the equation because he's too powerful to be able to be left in the story. Because as soon as you released him, it's like, okay, everyone just be back in a magic box again. Also, I love the like spider Ghostbuster zap the thing and it pops up in a magic prison.
That was pretty
Why
cool.
haven't they got one of those for every situation? Brilliant. Zap it, pop it in prison for a bit.
There was a lot of really cool things with the like combining this like Spider-Man's power with the magic, like especially like when it's on it was kind of in the trailer, but like when he's chasing him and he does the web. The portal, so he webs his own leg and then gets himself stuck. Stuff like that was really like very clever.
I reckon they missed a thing from like it could have been like it's like an old gaming trope, but when you're in Spider-Man films, you can just swing from nothing. Yeah, like they should have given him magic web shooters that he didn't need a building to latch onto. He could just zap and he would just swing indefinitely. Obviously, he still gets the suit taken off him anyway, but it means that he could just swing forever. Like that'd just be a cool little thing for the games again.
Because I always thought that was a good little callback on I think it's Homecoming. And he gets to the park and he's just like, and it just goes to nothing. He's like, but he can still jump high. So I don't know why he ran. I don't know, it's funny, but anyway, I really enjoyed it, and you really enjoyed it, and you really enjoyed it, and I think that's all Disney want. It's just
they want our money. That's what they want.
I'd definitely watch it again. I know Logan wants to see it. I don't think he will sit through 3 hours of it, but probably take him in the new year or something to see it. Anyone got anything else?
I don't know. We got a trailer for Multiverse of Madness at the end.
Sneaky little teasy.
Bit disappointed because I was hoping that this would be not in the trailer. The trailer looks fine. The film looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm just a bit disappointed that we didn't actually get like here's what's going to be next in the spider sphere. Like this is going to be the next thing that's coming up. So like a teaser towards like a Norman Osborn that exists in another universe that crosses over, or just something like that to like, okay, well, here's what we're going to do with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like, as it stands at the moment, this could just be the end of that. And then
they've already said that they're probably going to do another 3.
I mean, if that's the case, bring it on, I say, because you could have them, Peter trying to get back with MJ, but, obviously she doesn't remember him anymore. If they're going to introduce a Gwen Stacy to him, then maybe they deviate off away from MJ. Or maybe if it's, because her name's not Mary Jane Watson, it's like
Michelle.
something, Michelle Jones Watson, I think.
I think that's what they alluded to, though, because like when he says, like, he goes, are you okay? Because she's got the plaster on. She says, yeah, it doesn't hurt anymore. And it's like, to me, that's the moment where it's like, nah, well, I need to stay out of her life.
Yeah, but what if, though? What if he finds
a proper MJ?
Mary Jane. Yeah. Like, and then, because then, like, obviously, like, Maguire Peter is like, yeah, like, there's an MJ in my world, but, we had a bit of a down, and then we've sort of sorted things out again, which is nice. But does that mean that maybe there's, another MJ?
Maybe a Felisa Hardy.
To find? I think she's probably a bit old for him at this point, to be honest.
It was, what's her face, wasn't it, rumoured to be it? Oh, God, what's her name?
So from Star Wars.
No, from Divergent and Fault in Our Stars. Shayla Woodley? She actually had a part and they cut it out that she was MJ at the end of Tom Holland's first one.
All right. Oh yeah. No, I do remember that. Yeah. I do remember that.
Yeah, because she'd actually got a scene and stuff, and then they cut it out.
Yeah.
So she could.
Oh, but there you go. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe. Or if with Spider-Man dealing with sort of like magic and stuff like that, maybe. I get a Blade, Ghost Rider, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange.
I want a Daredevil team up.
I mean, I want to see that Spider-Man fight Daredevil. I reckon he'd get the shit kicked out of him.
In terms of skill and combat, yeah, but in terms of obviously strength, fucking annihilate him. We looked it up the other week, didn't we? It's like something like 300 ton, something like that. You can pick up.
No, I think it's 100.
I know it was a lot because I said it's about 15. That's what I said. I'm sure it's about 15 ton, and then we looked. I was like, no, it's fucking way more. But
yeah.
One punch, he'd crush Daredevil's face.
But that's the thing. I reckon that Daredevil would just. But if you wanted to go by the same rules, then Iron Fist should have been like he should have wiped the floor with him as well.
No, he shouldn't have. They did not deserve anything. He deserved to get battered by Daredevil.
I reckon maybe not Spider-Man, but I reckon if you got Shang-Chi together with like you did Iron Fist again, and then all 4 of them, you just had just a big fight just to see who comes out on top. I'd love to see that.
I'd like them to just have like the Iron Fist that we got in the Netflix show up with Shang-Chi, and it's just like, nah. It just walks off. Shang-Chi's just like, what? Because that's how you do Iron Fist. Fucking hell. Great film. Anyway, just going to wrap it up there because I need a wee, and it's going to take me about 20 minutes to get out of this costume. So we will definitely talk about this more because there's loads that we didn't touch on. This was kind of just a thing we decided to do kind of last minute. Zoe, thank you very much for joining us. Dan, thank you very much for taking your time out of The Witcher to join us.
I will say for the record as well, I'm about 5 episodes into The Witcher 2. Banging.
I am 0 episodes into.
So finished series 1 yet.
What?
We have?
No, we haven't. No, we haven't.
You may not have done, Zoe, falling asleep all the bloody time.
No, we haven't finished it.
No, we haven't.
Oh, you carried on, did you? Okay.
No.
I'll watch it by myself.
Well, either way, season 2 is well and truly out, so get on it.
It's done and it's on. Have you watched Hawkeye, Dan?
No, I've decided I am going to wait until that's finished.
You definitely need to watch Hawkeye. I shall leave it.
Well, how many's left? It must be like 4 or 5 episodes.
Yeah, there's 6 episodes and there's 5 out.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll watch it next week then. Sure.
So you definitely
just
need
in time
to.
for the next podcast.
Yeah. On that though, thank you very much. If you want to see more, it's all going along the bottom of the screen, www.podcastversusplayer.com. And from there you can go to the other links for the YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all the other bits and bobs that are there. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Them.
Can I test
Callum, you are a police officer. You cannot do that. No, Callum, put the gun away, for God's sake.
Can I lean out the car and shoot?
No. No, Callum.
What if I
It'll
suspect
just end
them,
it for you. You cannot do it.
What if I suspect
Callum,
someone doing something?
Fucking listen to me.
Our car is on fire, Dan. Dan, he's
they're
fleeing.
They're fleeing, Callum.
He's fleeing.
Get the taser out. Callum, get the taser. Get the taser. Get the taser.
What
Now's
number's
the time.
taser?
Breathe a pistol. Number 2, and then point it right at him. No, I said don't shoot him unless he refuses to stop.
He did refuse.
You can have a look at this car
That man
here.
just littered.
A triangle overhead.
Him.
There.
Get the fuck here. I'll tase him, Dan.
Oh, he's fleeing.
He's
Callum,
fleeing.
pull that taser on him. Make him stop. Please freeze.
Freeze.
Oh, he
Shoot
froze.
ya.
He froze. That's it.
Show me your ID, you fucking scum.
Oh, she's fleeing.
She's fleeing,
Freeze.
Dad. Get
Freeze. I tased her. I'm not having any of
I
that.
tased her.